Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. Before we go on to what we have for today, I would love to say thank you to every one of you who have been with us all this time that we started. Your time, likes, shares and subscription means everything to us. Now, let us get into what we have for this episode. In this episode, we have the continuation of the story from our sister, who was telling us how she managed to kill her husband with a love potion. In the previous episode, she told us how she took the man who was her very best friend's husband to a traditional healer who worked something for her to have the man to herself. She had gone back to the man to eliminate her friend so that she can have the man as her own husband. That was where we left off. So, in this very episode, she explains to us what happened after she had gone to the man for spiritual help and how the man who had now become her husband died. As part of our policy, I've edited the names, locations to hide their identity. Without wasting much of your time, let's go and listen to the story.
So, I returned from that journey to the traditional healer for help with the hope of having the guy all to myself. At this point, there was no turning back. I did exactly as the man had instructed me to. And that was for me to prepare one of the things he had given me with food for him to eat. And the other one insert it in my private part so that, when he goes close to his wife, he will not have erection. This will bring confusion between them, knowing very well that he always have erection when he comes close to me will make him to push for divorce. I was more for it since there wouldn't be sacrificing anybody in the process. I did just that and he visited me and ate the food that I had prepared for him. After that, he again enjoyed me with me knowing very well what was ahead of me. I did more than I always do. Because at the back of my mind, this journey was a journey of no return for him. After everything, he said he wanted to spend the night at my place and call his wife that there is work that he will be staying over that night to do. But then, I insisted he goes back home. Which he did eventually. As time went by, they started having problems in the bedroom. I got to know because Betty, not knowing I was the one behind everything, will call me and tell me her problems. With the aim of telling me to see if she can have solution to her problems. Anytime she will call, I will tell her the same thing. That she should take time and not do anything stupid which might cause problem in her marriage. I didn't want to give her any bad advice to leave or not. So that it wouldn't be like I advises her to do that. I was just patiently waiting for the things that I have done to work in filial force. When I heard that her husband had asked that they should divorce the marriage, I decided to move away from where I was staying and go to a different city altogether. I told him about my plans and also gave him my new number that I had gotten for myself. Because I was going to change my number. I just didn't want anybody to call me and tell me about anything. He gave me the money for the rent and even gave me money to furnish the apartment. So like that, I moved away from where I was staying to my current location. That was how their marriage got destroyed. Saying this now, I don't say it with a proud state of mind or being. Because these two people at different stages of my life were people that I came to love very much. But then, as I talk to you right now, I cannot see them again ever in my life. You might be wondering why I'm saying that. You see, when he files for the divorce, he didn't wait for the case to be over, then he moved over to be with me in my place. He was into this advertising business, so he opened another one here, and the one that was in the capital was being run by one of the guys that he trusted so much. So he will always go there sometime to check on how the business is going. He came up with an idea that he wanted to marry me and make me his wife. This was what I have been waiting for all this time. So, I told him that I didn't want any big ceremony. I wanted it to be a very low-key ceremony. I just wanted a court wedding and nothing else to attract any eyes on me. At first he didn't want to understand that idea. But as I kept on explaining my situation to him, he totally understood me and we went for the court wedding. My friend that took me to the traditional healer came to give me her support, and just like that I was married to the person I had wanted all these years. After a year in our marriage and he had gone back to the capital city to check on his business. When he returned, he was all quiet and moody, as if he had seen or heard something that was bothering him. So I approached him and asked what the problem was. He asked me when I was going to give him a child. Because he wasn't growing any younger. I didn't understand why all of a sudden he wanted a child and had started asking me those questions. So, I called my friend and asked her about Betty. The reason why I did that was because I wanted to find out if my husband's sudden behavior has anything to do with her. I know that once he goes to the city and his workplace is close to where Betty lives, definitely he will see her. But it didn't bother me at first because I knew what was working for me. My friend now told me that apparently Betty had given birth and the rumors is that the child is for my husband. And the reason why Betty is not telling him about the child is that my husband disgraced her and there was no way she was going to tell him about her pregnancy when she found out that she was pregnant. It all didn't make sense to me, because Betty herself complained to me that her husband was not getting erection, so how possible was he able to impregnate her? After hearing such a news from my friend, I felt maybe he has heard about the rumors and that is why he asked me about when I was going to give him a child. I had to do something very fast before things start to turn against me. So, I visited another traditional healer who was in our place. He told me about what the first traditional healer that worked for me to get him had told me. He said that what the healer meant by there will be consequences when he does what I was looking for at that time for me was that the man cannot impregnate any woman after eating that food and sleeping with me with that portion inserted in my private part. So at this point, I was very much devastated and disappointed in this whole thing that I had done to myself. Now, when I came home, I needed to have a way to not lose him, so I decided to get pregnant outside and now bring it home and say that he is responsible for the pregnancy. This seemed very brilliant by my own standards. And so, I started sleeping with one guy who, despite knowing that I was married, had been pushing to have something to do with me. We slept together for some time until I realized that I was pregnant. So, I told my husband about it and he seemed very happy to hear the good news I had given him. We started planning for the name to give the child and the things we can do for the child when the time is up. I realized I could have lost him if this act was not done. Because the joy that I could always see in his eyes whenever he comes home is just like when we first started sleeping together. Everything was about to change without me knowing. Here was I thinking everything was now back to normal. Unknown to me, I had done the most abominable thing against him. I never knew that, in their family, when a man marries you, or the both of you make promise of love to each other, you cannot the woman cheat on the man, or else he would die. This I got to know when he had visited his family members to tell them that his woman that he had found again is pregnant for him. His father looked at him for a while and asked him if he's sure the pregnancy is his. This he came back asking me to tell him if there is something that I was hiding from him about the pregnancy. I lied to him, but he didn't look convinced. The very next morning, I went to the traditional healer again and told him of the new development. He looked at me with a very serious face and told me to leave his place. He told me that I am the cause of what is about to happen to my husband. He then said, "You think you can manipulate everything in the system and have your way?" I remember his words vividly. I returned home thinking about what he told me. I was wondering what exactly that was going to happen to my husband that I was responsible for. Days passed and my husband started to feel sick. It happened just overnight. He started coughing at dawn, and when he coughs, you will see some blackish spots in his saliva. In the morning, he was sweating like he has been put inside water and brought out. What was going on? He picked his phone and called home. He told his father what was happening to him. The father told him on the phone to ask me to tell him the truth about my pregnancy. That was when what the native doctor told me became meaningful to me. So, what I did behind his back was what was going to cause him the problem. He asked me what I have done and I told him I didn't know what the father was talking about. Then he told me that, in their family, even he didn't know until he had visited just recently to inform his father about him expecting a child. That was when he was told that, if the child is not his and the lady had vowed to love and be truthful to him, and had gone behind him to sleep with another man, he, the man who is now my husband, would die. So what they do is, during the time of marriage, they take you the lady inside a room and tell you everything about the family traditions. At this point I had no other choice but to tell him the truth. After telling him the truth, called his father to inform him of what has happened, and the father said that we should come fast for them to cleanse him, other than that, he would die. It was on our way to his village that my husband died on me. How was I going to take his dead body to his people now that everything is clear that I was responsible for his death? I gathered courage and called his father with his phone and told him of what has happened to him. His father then told me to come but should wait with his dead body in the car outside of the village. He came to meet me and the dead body together with our driver. He told me to return back without the family members seeing me, either than that, they will make sure I also join their son. This is the reason why I'm telling my story. He told me that he didn't want me to die by their hands, but wanted me to live to suffer knowing that I am the cause of his son's death. He said he didn't want my blood to be upon him because he does not want to answer to his maker about my blood when he dies. That was how I lost my husband. I wasn't allowed to be at his funeral nor to even know where he was buried. Anytime I am there and I remember the words that my husband's father told me, I feel like sharing my story so that if one person learns from my story, I will be okay. Please, my sisters, you cannot take what belongs to someone without facing troubles along the way. When the trouble starts to come, you might not understand why, but they will be coming as a result of what you did earlier. This is my life story. How my own actions killed my husband. I wish I can go back to my friend and tell her everything that I did. But it is too difficult of a task for me.
Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. Let us please be vigilant of some of these people parading around us as our friends. You should know that, not everyone around you wants your success. And not everyone is happy or will be happy for you when you win in life. So, let us all learn to know and study the heart of the people around us. Because if you truly want to know someone's heart, you can surely know. Even though he or she might hide a lot of things from you, but if you learn to see with your mind and not your eyes, I can promise you that you will always get to know the hidden motives of the people you call friends. These friends, they are everywhere, from schools, home, churches and our workplaces. So don't say that this person cannot do anything to harm me because I've known him or her for so long. Be strong in your belief system. Whatever you believe in, please do well to hold on to your belief well, because life is 90% spiritual. And whatever you see with your physical eyes do happen in the realm of the spirit before it manifests here in this dimension. I pray that we learn from some of these stories and live a better life. If not for anything at all, it pays to live a decent and better life. As I always say, we are not here to race with ourselves. Therefore, do the little you can and ask your Creator to bless your handwork. Please, let's be mindful of the choices that we make. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.